Hi guys, we are back for another interview then with the Martial View, and this time we are joined with Pressure Point Master Russell Stutely. So thank you so much for coming on, Russell. Really appreciate it. From sunny Cambodia, you are speaking from today. It's a tough life, but someone's got to do it, I suppose. For anyone that isn't aware of who you are or what you do, can you just give yourself a little introduction, just for anyone out there?
Yeah, sure. Anyway, first of all, thanks for having me, Dan. It's much appreciated.
More than welcome.
But yeah, I mean, you said it really. My name's Russell. We do pressure point stuff. We're in the mags for years and stuff in the UK and doing seminars, Catabunkai first, and showing people how they all work with that. And then we moved on to the police and courses and stuff like that all around the world, traveling all over the globe, doing stuff, teaching everywhere. And then, moving country, living somewhere else, and then ended up in Asia. Been here for quite a few years.
Very nice. Let's get started then with how you started in the martial arts. So how you began and what was your introduction to kind of combat or martial arts?
Like anything, like most people or a lot of people. My brother went first, so he was my older brother, so I followed him.
Yep.
Did that for a while, and always interested in things like martial arts and boxing and stuff like that. My old man did a lot of boxing. But the thing that really got me into pressure points was a series called Way of the Warrior that came on TV years and years ago. I don't know if anybody will remember it in the UK. And it was narrated by Dennis Waterman, Sweeney and all that lot, and Minder. And there was a guy there, Shirinji Kempo, who was a master bando, and he was smashing people up with pressure point stuff, and that just stuck with me. So years later, when things started to come out in the magazines and things like that, look, master bando, better start investigating that. So just started researching it, going to see what all these, experts that were experts in pressure point stuff, what they were doing, go and have a look, see how it all worked. Eventually met up with Brick Money Maker, Tom Muncie at the Dragon Society, and everything changed from there. The way they explained it made sense. So, we've been great friends ever since, 20 odd years of working together and stuff like that.
Awesome.
And it all just gelled from there, and training with different people in boxing and kickboxing and grappling stuff, and mixing it all together and seeing how the points and what we call players can help with all different aspects of the arts. Doesn't matter whether it's striking or grappling or self-defense or whatever. The body's the body, and if you understand how the body works, you've got a bit of an advantage.
Sure. What was it specifically about the pressure point systems that attracted you then? Because arguably most martial arts kind of have a thing of causing some damage at some point, or smashing up or controlling or restraining or whatever that focus is, I suppose. But pressure points is quite a niche market, I suppose, in terms of usually it's striking, locking, throwing, etc. So why pressure points, and what was it that kind of sparked your interest in that?
Well, first of all, it just looked pretty neat that you could just do something that looked a little bit innocuous, and all of a sudden the other guy's on the floor, which is pretty cool. And then you look at it and you think, well, you get the old one of, well, you're not going to do it like that in a fight. Of course not, because you're demonstrating, just touching and like that. Anybody thinks you're going to fight like that, they can't help. Then once you understand that how weak the body is, we know how strong it is from all the training that we do, all the conditioning work, the running and the weights and all of that stuff, and all the silly training exercises that we did and sometimes still do to get strong conditions. You know how strong the body can be, but it's also quite remarkable how weak it can be, not just in the areas that the groin and eyes, and punch them in the throat and stuff like that. Areas that people wouldn't necessarily understand are weak, and it's then that gives you a huge advantage, because if just a very basic example, if you got two of us at the same skill level, the same experience, the same strength and everything else, the one who knows a little bit more will probably win. But we're just looking for that advantage in everything that we do. Just like, you've got an advantage if you can take a shot better than the other boxer. But why take that if you don't have to? So you've got an advantage if you can evade better than the other guy. So look, at all of those things are part and parcel of what your training is all about. So why not add something else to it?
Hmm.
So that not only are you trying to evade better, punch harder, faster, get a better understanding of distance, time, and everything else, but not only do you do that, once you got there, you know where to hit them and you
Yeah.
know how to hit them for the best effect. Not hitting them lightly, you still smack them as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You get them in the right place so that the effect is much more dramatic.
Yeah.
That was my viewpoint on it.
Sure.
And to me, it just makes sense. You know, why not learn more?
Yeah, sure. So what is a pressure point? How would you describe a pressure point to someone that's never trained in anything like this before?
Well, normally I say everybody's heard of acupuncture.
Yeah.
So to say, you know, and that's been around thousands of years. It works. No two ways about it. I've seen documentaries. I've pointed these out to people where Western medicine is trying to disprove
Mm.
Chinese medicine, set out with the sole intent and purpose of disproving it, only to find out that it worked better for certain things than modern Western medicine.
Mm.
So it's a proven science, let's call it for a moment, just for the ease of words. It's a proven science. You stick a needle in, stick another needle in there, something happens, whatever it is that you're looking for. For them, they're looking to take pain away
Yeah.
or ease the suffering. For us, we're looking to use those same points and that same science to do the opposite. So where they're trying to heal with it, we're trying to hurt with it.
Hmm.
It's basically as simple as that. So you take those acupuncture points and activate them in such a way as to create pain or a limb to give way or a joint to release so that you can break it or a knockout or whatever it may be.
Sure. And how did your own education develop, I suppose, from seeing pressure points and going, yeah, this is interesting, to then becoming one of the most world-renowned people in pressure points now?
Well, I took a long, circuitous, tortuous route. There was so much misinformation,
Yeah.
and at the time, until I met up with Rick and Tom, where you're reading all these books on Chinese medicine, you're reading about stomach this and gallbladder that. You think, hold
Mm.
on a minute, I'm going to punch somebody in the face, but what's going on? And so you're getting all of these silly terms, or what they appear to be silly terms, and these outrageous things. And you're thinking, what on earth is all this about?
Yeah.
Knowing from that documentary, was seeing somebody do it, and then knowing that I've done it, you think, well, there's more to it than this theory stuff. It's making it all convoluted.
Yeah.
So my education was good and bad. Good in so much as I learned all this theory crap,
Sure.
and bad, I learned all this theory crap.
Yeah.
So by learning that though, I'm in a fortunate position where I can understand it at a fairly deepish level and converse with people who've done, say, acupuncture or know a bit of Chinese medicine, but also make it really simple for people who don't want to go through all that rubbish, where we just want to know how and why it works and where to go for the best effect, and how to make sure that the technique that they're using is done in the most efficient manner, because that's more about what we do.
Okay.
The understanding of the body helps you to understand how the body should be working from a martial perspective, which means a lot of the principles that are taught in traditional martial arts and a lot of the fighting arts are actually inherently wrong for the way the body wants to do it. It's not to say people can't fight, of
Yeah.
course, but they could be better. And at a high level, if you only increase somebody's ability by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4%, it's a massive increase for an elite level fighter.
Why do you think it's not such a big thing then? As I've said, it is more of a niche thing. So if you think it can be improved by this 3-4%, you think that everyone will be jumping on it, from sports athletes to self-defense to kind of combat people or army, etc.
I, I mean this in the nicest possible way. Being a national boxing coach, being around fighters for years and years and years,
Yeah.
and I don't mean it in a nasty way, but they're not the sharpest knives in the drawer.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, and anybody who gets into fights in any way, shape, or form. Ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer either.
Yeah.
So when you've got a limited lifespan in your chosen art, boxing, kickboxing, whatever, you got to go for the quickest route to success. And
Yeah.
most people do it as train hard, fight hard, take a load of punches, keep going, and hope it all works out.
Yeah.
They, even on their own skills in their own sport, let's call it boxing, even drilling their own skills, you don't see as much of it today as you should. When you look back at the old time fighters, that their skill level, I think, and as a national boxing coach,
Yeah.
I'm fairly well qualified to say that the skill level today is nowhere near what it was overall. Obviously, there's still some fighters who are extremely well skilled. You
Yeah.
Mayweather, blah blah blah. But as a general rule, you look at a lot of the world champions and that are around today, and the skill level is nowhere near what it was at fighters from years back.
Why do you think that is then? Because you'd think that if anything, it would be the other way round, with more knowledge now of training techniques, of fitness techniques, of how nutrition, you'd think that the combat sport should have evolved. And yet I agree that some of the old school boxers like the Muhammad Ali's and the Sugar Ray Robinsons and people like that are a better caliber of fight, or were a better caliber of fighter than you kind of get now. But it goes against the grain, I suppose, where every other sport maybe has advanced in terms of what they do. It seems combat sports, maybe not MMA, I'm not sure about that one, but things like boxing have not regressed, but yeah.
I hear people's arguing because they say all the time, well, look at every other sport, world records are getting broken here, there, and this, that. So fighting is the same. They're miles better than the old days, blah, blah, blah. And I can understand how they think that argument is valid. However, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a TED conference. There was a sports scientist guy on there. And they were comparing the times of the sprinter Jesse Owens from, I think it was at 36, when he won the Olympic gold, and modern day sprinters.
Yeah.
And when you take into account that he didn't have the shoes that they've got,
yeah,
the track was cinder as opposed to the whatever it is.
the technology now, yeah.
All that lot. He actually would have, up until the 90s or early 2000s, he would probably have been gold or silver anyway.
Right.
So there wasn't that much of a change, really.
Yeah.
The equipment, especially in that, makes a huge difference. And then you look at the boxers, remembering that boxers are weight restricted.
Yeah.
So the old time boxers, it's rare you see them ever out of shape because they were fighting so often.
Mm-hmm.
So they tended to fight at a weight closer to their walk around weight.
Yeah.
So they weren't doing these huge weight drops and things like that. They're only fighting once or twice a year because of these weight drops, having to rehydrate, and that's messing the body up.
Yeah.
Up and down, huge fluctuations in weight. And I think that's shortening their lives in terms of their boxing lives. And I don't think they're able to perform at the same level. Certainly when you look back at the old time fighters slamming 15 rounds away, you look at something like the fight, like we say, with Larry Holmes, and when he got the title against Ken Norton, there's 15 rounds of non-stop heavyweights smashing crap out of each other. 15 rounds. The heavyweights today would be done after 5 or 6 of that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be. And it's the same at all the weight levels. You look at the likes of Duran, Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Carlos Monzon, Willie Pep going right back, all those sort of things. They would just decimate the ones today. And the skill of the coaches aren't there. Today they're not teachers, they're just coaching. I think there's a big difference. They're not teaching.
So what do you think the difference is then between the two, between teaching and coaching?
Well, teaching is where you're actually imparting skills to them. You're giving them the information to increase their skill level. Coaching is just making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in that.
Doing their rounds on the bag or doing whatever, yeah.
You've done your 3 rounds on the bag, yeah, good, well done.
Tick.
Whereas old school fighters would be on the old school trainers would be on the bag with them.
Mm.
You know, just this or just that, do this, do it, whatever it may be. they're with them all the time, making sure it's done right. These days, it's just right, 6 on the bag, 6 skipping, 6 shadows, 6 on the bag, off you go. Have you been doing that? Yeah, good, well done. That's not coaching, it's not teaching, it's just being.
Yeah. How did you get involved in boxing then, and becoming obviously a national coach? A national coach.
We go back 20 odd years, and I've always loved my boxing. We were doing boxing, kickboxing, obviously people have martial arts stuff, karate, kickboxing,
Yeah.
And Harold Graham come down to my gym to see what we were up to, and he came for just for an hour on a Friday, and he stayed till Monday.
Yeah.
He just what we were doing, and we just got on, and that was it. Then trained with him all the time, and we just took off from there.
Yeah.
Took off. You know, we went from not being all that good at all, and in a weekend, people who were, you know, the previous week were like they smashed the karate guy up.
Yeah.
On the Monday, couldn't land a punch because we were doing what we were told to do. You see, when you've got a martial arts background, you go to another school, another club, or another lesson in a different system. You do what the instructor tells you to do. If they say put your fist here, you put it there. If they say put it back there, you put it back there. If they say do it like that, you do it like that. Whatever. You say, yeah, okay, I'll do it how you tell me. So I'm trying to box how they tell you to box. Just didn't work for me, didn't gel for me.
Yeah.
I boxed how I wanted to box. And then when Errol came down, he said, well, that's how I would show you to do it, how you want to do it. So when we go back, all of a sudden it's a different story. So we could do it the way we wanted to do it. He sort of gave us the freedom then. And then training with him all the time, doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds with him, you tend to pick something up.
Yeah, for sure. How did you merge the two then? So how did you merge the boxing and the pressure point knowledge that you had? Did you merge it, or did you keep it separate?
Well, we merge it with our own people.
Yeah.
But again, the age-old thing of, you know, boxing is even worse than martial arts for you. Say to them, help you with that. Ah, it's not boxing. My trainer does it like this. Okay. Yeah, we have it all the time. We had it with karate, the taekwondo, everyone, all the traditional arts, everyone. We say to them, how do you punch? Like that. Okay, try it like this, and you hit twice as hard. And they hit twice as hard. And then, you know, in 20, 30 minutes, then they go, yeah, but it's not Shotokan, or it's not strictly Wado, or it's not strictly Sudo, or whatever. And they go back to what they were doing before. Or they question it. You go, hold on, you've been doing Shotokan for 20 years, you hit it X. You come to us for 20 minutes, you double X. And then you're questioning me. Sure, you should be questioning what you just done for 20 years.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. How much do you think personal body type or size or strength, etc., affects someone's susceptibility to pressure points? Is there a spectrum of efficacy when it comes to pressure points?
See, most people will tell you that there's this bell curve.
Okay.
Of, you know, 20% it works great on, 20% it just doesn't work on, but then this bell curve, just like a normal bell distribution curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the risk of sounding flippant, that's a load of old cobblers.
Okay.
It is doing it the way they're doing it.
Right.
Because this, like I said, the technique that you do it has to be done correctly first. So all of the stuff that we teach before we teach pressure points is to make sure that the technique that you're doing is correct first. We break the technique down into its constituent parts, analyze each part for you, give you the formula, the equation to work it out, build the technique back up, and then and only then we add the pressure points. When you teach pressure points as a standalone system, you will get that bell distribution curve because you don't understand how to work your technique properly.
So if you're affecting the body with a pressure point, how does the setup matter for affecting it in a certain way?
Okay, I'll do it as a simple, easy example. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's say you're trying to put a lock on, say this one, topless lock, whatever you want to call it, right? If the leverage and the fulcrum, the lever, everything else is not in the right place,
Yeah,
then it doesn't matter how strong you are, that lock is going to have trouble going on.
sure.
If you've not taken away the strength of the person trying to put it on, and you haven't misaligned them, and they're fully aligned and in strength, the odds of getting that lock on are vastly reduced again and again and again, and so it goes on, so it goes on. So what we would teach with something like that is you've got to make sure they're misaligned and isolated, and the angle's got to be this at their arm to make the lock even easier to put on, and this and this and this and so on and so forth. So it goes on.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, you add in the pressure points. When the pressure points added in at the end, the pain goes through the roof.
Okay.
If you try to add them on their own, all the other things are not in place. So the effect is vastly reduced because the other things aren't in place. With a strike, for example, if your chins are down and your shoulders up and you're all tucked in, you get somebody trying to hit them on the jaw and you're hitting them there, you're not quite catching it just right.
Yeah.
The odds of knocking them out are much reduced.
Yeah.
If you can manipulate them in such a way that you can get that shoulder out of the way so you can clip them on the end of the jaw, the odds of the knockout are increased.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying by technique is not just a simple, right, there's a point, hit it.
Yeah.
Well, if you hit it one way, it'll work, but not as good as if you hit it a different angle and direction.
Sure.
So it's understanding not only where they are, but also the angle that strike needs to be coming in at for the very best effect. If you look back at boxing and look at things like Tommy Hearns when he was just decimating people with his right hand, you watch the angle of that right hand as it's coming in and how it just clips down at the end.
Yeah.
When it catches them, it's dropping down. That happens to be the perfect angle and direction to make those points work. I'm not saying he's using points. I'm just saying that he's getting the exact right technique. So if he lands on the point, they're going to be a much bigger effect. Obviously, when you're hitting as hard as Tommy Hearns, everything's got an effect.
Yeah, it's going to amplify. Yeah.
But it will increase the effect. So, and even at very low power levels, we show people with like just a fingertip, just tapping like that, done in the right way, people can feel it, they feel a little bit dizzy. So I said, well, obviously we're never going to fight like that. But if that little tap can make you feel dizzy, just imagine what it's like with a full-on hammer fist or a great big overhand right smacking you in there. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
If your technique is right, if you miss the point, you've hit them hard anyway.
Yeah.
My fail-safe is to have the technique right.
Yeah.
Icing on the cake is you do land on the point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sure.
That's it, really. I mean, the other thing people say is, "Oh, they're too small to hit in a fight." You go, "Yeah, you're right," because you don't train them.
Yeah. How much of it is based on, like fine motor skills, complex motor skills, gross motor skills? These are things that are thrown around in self-defense training quite a lot.
Yeah, I know. It's a load of bollocks, isn't it? Fine motor skills, like start putting a bit of thread in the eye of a needle or something like that.
Yeah.
That's motor skills.
Yeah.
It's not punching somebody in the face.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
So when they say fine motor skills, I don't know what they're talking about. What fight? I've never known of any fine motor skills in a fight.
No. Complex, maybe.
Well, it depends on, again, it depends on your definition of complex.
Or you could argue things like wrist lock-in or joint locks and throws, etc., are more complex skills because they require a higher amount of dexterity sometimes to apply a wrist lock than, say, to do a hammer fist or a knee or a big elbow.
Right. But if you understand a lot really well, then it's not complex to you. But if you've never done any striking, then a hammer fist or an elbow is very complex to you.
True, but I'd say that a hammer or an elbow is a lot simpler to learn for someone that only has, say, an hour or two to learn something simple than, say, a joint lock or a throw.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot more natural as well.
If you're teaching self-defense to somebody and you've only got an hour to do it, you're trying to teach them joint locks and throws, and you shouldn't be teaching.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're trying to teach them how to strike, you shouldn't be teaching either. Their self-defense should be avoidance and awareness if they've only got an hour to learn.
Yeah, completely.
But when it comes to these things about fine motor skills, gross motor skills, a fight is gross motor skills.
Yeah.
Or self-defense is gross motor skills. That's more correct to say. Self-defense is more gross motor skills. Fighting is when all your self-defense stuff has gone wrong and now you're fighting.
Yes.
So, and at that point, your skills are your skills, whatever they may be.
Mm-hmm.
If they're good, they're good. Whether they're skills for striking, grappling, or both, or throws, whatever, your skills will fall into place. If you actually drilled your skills, as we say.
Yep.
And skills pay the bills, as we say.
Yeah.
And if you've drilled your skills, your bills will be paid in that time.
Yeah. So for you, it's just about the repetition and knowing it and getting it right and getting it correct. And
yeah, it's like anything, you've got to take the time to learn it. We take the time to learn how to jab, cross, hook, uppercut, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Add in this stuff, the pressure point stuff on top, it's nowhere near as long as it takes to learn that well. If you've got that quite good, adding this to it doesn't take long at all. We've got people up to a very, very high standard in a few months.
Okay.
And that when you talk of years and years of martial arts training, and it's not a few months of on its own, it's a few months of adding it to what you already know.
Sure.
And just fine-tuning what you're actually doing. And anybody who's trained with us will tell you the same story.
Yeah.
They do transform what they're doing.
Yeah, perfect.
That's simple. Yeah, I'm not trying to blow around the trumpet, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, if you're seeing the results, you're seeing the results, aren't you? And the results speak for themselves.
And we just let people tell you. If people come along and say it's a load of bollocks, fair enough. If you think it's a load of bollocks, it's a load of bollocks. No one's ever said that.
Yeah.
Oh, they've said it before they've come, but never said it after they're trained.
Yeah. Well, the best way to feel something is to actually do it, isn't it? You can watch all the videos in the world or read up about it or whatever, but
the first one to say a lot of stuff, it looks like bullshit.
Yeah.
Because when you touch somebody on the arm and they fall over, they scream and they go, oh, no, that can't be right. And yeah, it does look like bullshit. But what I say, look at the guy's face, look at the way the body crumbles and stuff like that, and you'll see that you can't fake that when it's really done. When it's really done.
You do see some crazy stuff on the internet as well, in terms of pressure points, and it's where it's drawing the line between something looking, believable and something looking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to say, you see, this is another thing. People take the pressure point stuff and then try to equate it to no touch.
Yes. Yeah.
Hold on, I might as well equate your MMA to no touch then. They're completely separate, different things. We've never said no touch stuff. I don't know where all that sort of stuff comes from. I've met people who no touch stuff, right?
Okay.
Right? None of it worked on me. None of it. And we just, But I have seen some crazy stuff in the gym with people who, or with one person anyway, who was espousing no touch stuff, and he looked more fake than anyone, but actually it did work occasionally, and I've witnessed it working against 2 world champion fighters.
A no touch thing. So what do you think that's psychosomatic then? Do you think that's physical, or do you think it's a psychological thing?
Well,
because if you're not touching someone, how are you affecting them physically?
Well, this is the thing. I don't know. But all I can tell you is that, and these 2 world champions, I won't mention that, it's not fair without asking their permission, but when asked, if they know and they're asked, they say, yeah, it worked. It worked on. But at the same time, there's probably like 20 different people there. It worked quite well, very, very well on the 2 world champion fighters. And then there was other people who just did nothing at all whatsoever. And in the same venue, at the same place, literally one after the next.
Why do you think there's such a disparity then between something working and not working?
Well, that's the no touch stuff. I don't know.
So the no touch. So in your term, if you in what you teach and the way that you set it up and then apply a pressure point at, say, the end of a technique, it will work across the board.
Yeah,
There's
we've
no,
never,
like you said, there's none of that bell shape thing.
yeah, what they call non-responders. The
Yeah.
only non-responder we've ever had was a guy who had been in a car accident and had total nerve damage and didn't feel anything from anyone anywhere. He used to put cigarettes out on his body for bets.
Right. So no matter what you did to him, it was just.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing: when you touched him on the different points, although he felt no pain, his body still collapsed.
Okay. So that would allude to something psychological then, rather than physical.
But he didn't know he was supposed to collapse. So,
Yeah. But yeah.
he said he didn't know what pain was because he had this accident as a child, car accident as a child, and ever since then he never felt pain. So he didn't know what pain was. So all he said he could feel was this sensation in his body that made him fall over.
Mm.
It made his legs kick out, made his arm feel weird. But he couldn't call it pain. He didn't know what pain was, but he never said ouch or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, this was a guy with severe damage.
Yeah.
So but that was the only non-responder, if you like, that we've ever had.
Mm. So you think it's definitely more physical than psychological then? Or do you think there's a little bit of both going in?
Well, you know, I think in any situation, there's psychological stuff. However, how that affects somebody,
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, there's psychological stuff in a street fight.
Yeah.
There's psychological stuff in the dojo. There's psychological stuff in the boxing gym. There's psychological stuff in sports fighting.
Sure.
If somebody's will is that much greater than yours, sometimes they put a lock on and you tap him when really you didn't need to. Or if it was somebody else putting that lock on, you wouldn't be tapping.
Yeah, true.
But that sort of thing happens all the time. And you see it as well a lot with the student-teacher relationship.
In what way? Yeah.
It's that looking up to the instructor, making you look up to him, and he's looking down at you, that type of instructor. And the instructor does something and it seems to hurt him a lot more than when anybody else does.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've seen that myself and experienced it. And
Yeah.
someone's maybe been thrown when they didn't need to be thrown, or someone's done something where it was like, well, hang on, that's just because of the sensei student or mentality and relationship, where it's a respect thing perhaps, where they don't want to show up the instructor.
Yeah, and this and sometimes that respect, although it could have been healthily deserved and given and earned, sometimes the psychological part of that is that you just give a little bit too much deference to it and a little bit too much subservience and things like that, and it can breed this weird sort of relationship. And
well, it's culty.
Well, yeah.
It's culty, isn't it? It's yeah, it's culty. Like as soon as you stop questioning stuff and start just doing whatever your instructor says and put them on a massive pedestal and follow them around, then yeah, it becomes culty at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we always used to laugh at things like that, call everything cool, because that's what we always said. But normally behind closed doors we say it. But thank you for putting it out there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we call it a cult, but we say with our stuff, we just say, don't believe me, try it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
I'm not lying to you. I'm not, but I could be. So if you don't believe me, try it.
That's the thing, isn't it? You've got to try and test it and do it, and if it works, it works. Like for me, if something works, it works. Cool, I'll take it in. If it doesn't work, then I won't. I'm quite a rationalist like that.
Yeah, we've always said if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't work for you, either bin it or put it to one side, because it might be something that you're doing wrong that's making it not
for sure.
So if I'm struggling with something, then I don't bin it straight away. I just hold on, maybe it's me, maybe I'll come back to it. And if I come back to it several times and it's still a load of cobblers, then I will probably bin it.
Yeah, there's definitely an element of that. It's the same if you're learning a punch. If you miss the punch the first time, you're not going to bin the punch, are you? Because it doesn't work. It's just you've got being able to make it work. So yeah, you've got to keep it, I mean, in mind.
Boxers, for example, they're, all they're doing is training to hit you and defend, obviously, but you know what I mean. So they're training these punches and they might only be landing 30-35% on a good day. So you don't discard punches just because you're not landing them all.
Yeah, true. No, completely. Yeah. Where do you see the future of pressure points going? Do you think? Do you think it's? Do you think it has a future? Do you think it will still be a niche thing, perhaps, that people look at? But
Well, it is a niche thing
yeah,
until somebody, you know, of a well-known name, if you like, in sports combat. So, say for your argument's sake, years back, if somebody like Anderson Silva had got hold of it,
yeah.
it would have gone through the roof via that medium.
Steven Seagal would have taught him it, of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
It's taught him everything.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a niche market, but we have literally thousands and thousands of police officers and security officers go through our training each year.
Yeah.
You know, required learning at police academies all around the world.
Yeah.
It works. The reason being is it works. You don't have over the last what the last 7 years, there's over 100,000 security officers and police officers gone through the training.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's not because it's bullshit. You
Yeah, sure.
you might bullshit one or two people, but you're not going to bullshit all them.
Yeah.
Right? And it works.
Yeah.
It's simple. Yeah, but they're learning it at a very, very basic level because they've only got so many hours of training to be able to pick it up. But those who are able to take the time to do it, stuff like that, they're finding their ability to understand techniques and to be able to use them, it's gone through the roof. Even if they use it just to help their own students get better at their own, just at their techniques, their ability to dissect the technique and put it back together more efficiently is a game changer for them.
Perfect.
We can look at locks, chokes, strangles, takedowns, whatever, and unless somebody's doing it absolutely, amazing.
Yeah.
But you can look at most things and you can say, right, the way you're doing it at the moment, nothing wrong with it. What I'm saying is we can enhance that for you, make it more efficient and more painful. And how's that a bad thing?
Yeah, for sure.
But again, you get the old thing of, well, it's not strictly Shotokan, it's not strictly BJJ, it's not strictly this or strictly that. Or, we don't do it like that. Right, we don't do it. Does it hurt more? Yeah. Does it go on quicker? Yeah. Did the
Do you
guy
think there's
tap
still a
out?
lot of that about where it's just like, oh, it's not the way we do it in BJJ or it's not the way that we do it in karate? Because it seems that that's a little bit old school now. It seems that people are moving more towards the.
It's even more so than it was 20 odd years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's nuts. Because when the BJJ lot first came out on the scene, basically,
Yeah.
it was a case of, BJJ this, BJJ that. Of course, a lot of the people then were only blue belt that they were teaching and things like this. And obviously, it's expanded, gone crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But now you're hearing stories and confirmed stories, not just stories, confirmed stories by, bona fide high-level BJJ black belt that they've got the McDojo problem of just giving out grades, giving out belts. They've got the problem of that's not. We're doing a slightly different BJJ to you, and this, that, and the other. You're not supposed to talk to him. He's not supposed to talk to you, and all
Politics.
that. We don't play that game. We're bothered with it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. How can a grown man accept somebody telling them where they can and can't train?
Sure.
We just say to people, if somebody said that to anybody we know, we should grow some balls.
Yeah.
Just turn to piss off and you train where you want.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. We're not school kids. We act like it.
I
We
agree.
just say, train where you like, do what you like. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Where can people find you then or find more information about you?
On the website, russellstutely.com.
Yep.
And it's all up there. There's free stuff. Help yourself to it. There's free course, free downloads, free booklet for self-defense, how to hit hard, all sorts of stuff. Loads of free stuff up there. The blog's got hundreds of different free lessons on it as well. There's tons of stuff up there. Tons of it. Yeah. When you see how good well, I don't mean this in a big-headed way, but when you see how good the free stuff is, you'll buy stuff anyway. I don't need to tell it.
Yeah.
You know, just take the free stuff and yeah. Don't just look at it and we say, don't just look at it and go, yeah, we do it like that, because you probably don't. We got a saying, and again, without trying to sound big-headed, I don't mean it that way, is that it might look the same. I stole this, by the way, this saying. It might look the same, but it ain't.
Yeah.
And there's a real big truth to that. You see people doing something, you see somebody do whatever, a jab. It might look the same as that other guy's jab. One of them will take your head off, and the other one will knock the skin off of it.
Yeah, true.
But they might look the same, and it's those things that we're pretty good at doing, is getting something that might look like that guy over there, but the feeling's completely different.
Yeah, perfect. Fantastic. Yeah, awesome. Definitely go and check that out then, guys. So you can go to russellstutely.com, check out all the free stuff, have what is there that he's provided for you. Go and check it out, and then, yeah, see what you get from it. Thank you so much for coming on, Russell. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Fantastic. That's been another episode then of the Martial View. Remember, as always, to give us a like, give us a subscribe, share it around. If you've got any questions or anything, send them through. And other than that, we'll be back for another episode really soon. Thank you.
Thank you.